Um, this is a topic I've talked about 2 or 3 times before, so I just wanted to bring it up again because I think it's a really important one. It's about meeting your situation, everyone, with generosity. So, do you want to live in a less contentious world? Do you want to make a friend with an adversary? Do you want to see for yourself that you are in charge of your world? Then when you meet contention, whether it's in a grocery line or on the freeway or with an acquaintance, step back, look at the next moment, get ready, close the noise in your mind, calm your emotions, and be the generous one in this situation again and again and again. Try it for a week and see if it doesn't do something different in your world from the usual behavior. You may feel that you have needs too, and you don't always want to take the back seat. And you may feel that it isn't fair for you to always be the one to give in. But you are the one that is controlling the situation and bringing about a better situation than it was doing on its own. So that puts you in charge of your world instead of being at the mercy of the circumstances. Suppose someone insults you or gets angry and picks an argument for no reason. Then what you should do in order to determine the best possible outcome is, if you want to stay in charge of it, pay attention and be the generous one and give what the situation calls for. If you must be the one to always give the best outcome, does this mean that you get less of everything? No, it doesn't, because it means that you are setting the standard for your world and you are determining what the form of entityness of your world should be. If you want kindness and generosity to be the basic form of your world, then you must be the first to establish it. You can make friends with people you never imagined and live in a harmonious atmosphere. Don't you think that's better than having what you want rather than letting the other person have it? You set the standard of harmony and generosity because you are the driver. And in this way, you always remind people of their better nature and also remind them that achieving self-reward is not as satisfying as achieving a peaceful world. If you do this often enough, it will become its own reward. I know this seems like I'm just asking you to become a Mr. Nice Guy or a nice girl, but I'm hoping that doing what you don't usually do and stop doing what you usually do will be enough to wake you from the dream you find yourself in momentarily. Think what you get when you are immersed in someone else's dream. Then step back and consider how to restore the balance in your world. If you can do that, you can change by your own effort from observing first from small mind to getting the big picture. Because you engage with big mind and your Buddha nature. And after a few days of doing this, you will like yourself better and the world will like you better too. But give yourself a week of it because you have to go through feelings of being unimportant as you let self drop off a little bit. And go through the doubts about it and hang in there until a week passes. And then look around and see if more flowers have bloomed in your practice garden, because now some may even be new to you. So I've simplified the situation to make the point, but there will be many situations that will be complex, having to do with achieving results which aren't necessarily as simple as just giving the other person what they want. However, this is where you have to be more complex yourself. and devise what will make this work, not always to your satisfaction, but to the satisfaction of the heart of your world. Thank you, that's all I have to say. Do you have any questions? Here's Peter. Sandy?
Can you hear me?
Yes?
Oh, okay. I don't really have any questions, but I do want to thank you. That was excellent talk. Um, it was very simple, yet it came right to the point of what we need to do and how to change our life and how to bring a little bit more happiness into our lives and other people's. So thank you, Jane. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sandy. Mike?
Are you saying in your talk that we can't change the event we're going through, but we can change how it affects us and how we react to it? And that our reaction to a situation can make it more beneficial for everybody. But if we look at the event as being a confrontational situation or something that, is negative and stuff, if we get into that attitude, then it just gets out of control. So that if we are in control of our life and our world, we can't control the events outside of us, but we can control how they affect us and how we react to them. Is that along the lines of what you were saying?
It is, but I think we also can control the situation enough to bring about a better result than would have occurred normally. And in doing so, we keep reminding people of their better nature and hoping that this also has a good effect. And it's a way of stopping what we always usually do and doing what we don't always usually do, which brings about change in us as well.
So we have to be in the moment during the situation. That way we aren't judging it as much as just working with it. And
Yeah.
whatever it is, the minute you judge, then you already set up your reactions. If you're angry, you're going to respond angrily or whatever. But you just let it happen, you encounter it, and you try to create it so where it benefits both
Yeah.
who's involved or something.
It's kind of like a pinball machine or a game that you're engaged in where you have to be alert every moment, not to just give into emotion or feeling and feeling good or bad or whatever, but you have to be alert to what your next move is going to be because things can move very quickly.
Well, you can be alert if you're in the moment because there is no speed. It's just what's happening at that moment. So thank you.
You're welcome. If you think of it like in game, in that sense, it's easy to put yourself on hold because you say, if I wasn't here and I was just looking at this situation, what would I advise the persons or people to do? Without thinking about whether it would affect you or not, just thinking about how can you make it a harmonious situation than a contentious one.
You have to keep your ego out of it. You can't.
Yeah, so if you play the game without having your ego in it, you might do something very different. Yeah, so that's how I found it was more helpful than anything, was just to say, well, what if I wasn't here? What would I suggest? What would I tell myself to do if that wasn't me? And it's always something that has nothing to do with gaining a sense of self-satisfaction, but a sense of restoring some harmony that's been lost. Yeah. Okay, does anyone have anything further to say? Mark, it's good to see you back. Can't hear you.
Hi, everyone. It's good to be back. I've got this terrible cold, I guess I got from Germany. How can I be generous with this cold and survive it in a good way?
By staying home like you're doing.
All I wanted to know.
I remember in Tassajara when people complained about they couldn't go to sit in the morning because they had a cold or something. And Suzuki Roshi said one day in a lecture, you won't die from a cold, a simple cold, but you will die from no practice.
Yeah.
And one time when I was at Tassajara and was Suzuki Roshi's attendant, his Chisha, I came in with a cold. And he looked at me and said, sit down. So I sat down and he took out a small pot that I didn't know that he had, and then he got a bottle of sake out, which he didn't drink. Someone must have brought to him, and he heated up the sake, and when it was very hot, then he broke an egg into it and said, drink this. So there I was drinking sake and an egg in it at 5 a.m. It tasted really good. He said, go to bed. So he didn't have a shisha. He didn't use quite those abruptness, actually. He wasn't abrupt. But anyway, so I went to bed and I snuggled up under the covers with all that sake in me, one good dose of it, and I was better by the next day.
Are you suggesting that for more?
Mark, yeah, that's right, Mark.
Yes, it comes
Yeah,
to the Suzuki Roshi cure for the colds.
Yeah.
When we were children, I remember our parents used to give us rum when we got sick with a cold.
Mike?
My wife used to give me spiced rum in tea and tell me to take a hot bath. And as soon as I got done with the bath, jump into bed with a bunch of blankets, and the next morning I'd wake up, but maybe the slight hangover, but that cold would be long, long gone. But to what Mark was saying, I used to catch colds a lot as a kid. I was rather sickly as a child. And one person looked at me and says, just look at it as a way of your body telling you you need to take a vacation. And the only way you're going to stop is I make you sick. So just sit back and enjoy the free time and get back into the world a little later on.
That was another time when I was at Tassajara and I was, doing the thing. And my mother telephoned or something. Somehow my mother contacted me at Tassajara. I don't know how she did that, because at that point there was no telephone. But she looked at me and said, you're working too hard, but don't worry about it. Your grandfather's going to do something about it. My grandfather had been dead for some time. And that afternoon, I in the pool, in the hot spring pool, and I hit my head, and so they put me in bed for a week for a possible concussion, and that was and all of a sudden I was better again.
I think I've gotten a lot of ideas. I'll start with the sake and the egg, and then I guess I'll get hit in the head. Was it you got hit in the head with the last one or something?
Yeah, and the warm covers is, Mike is right about that, yeah, kind of hot. Yeah, under the warm covers, yeah.
Jane, isn't it amazing how the talk you gave switched over to cold remedies?
Yeah, it is.
Well, it's very valid. You know, how can I be generous with this cold and help it get me better?
Take care of your body. That's generous.
But
Okay.
you don't need to share it.
Share the
Share
body.
what? Share what he has.
Share the
your
cold.
Oh no, that's the
That's
worst.
being generous. Don't share your cold. Anybody else?
Well, it sounds to me like that's Zen chicken soup,
Mm.
or maybe the chicken before the egg, or the egg before the chicken soup. I'm not sure which. Sake and raw egg.
Chris, I see the top of his head like that, looks like he needs something himself.